This interview is part of the History Heard project. The content of this interview may be used for historical research. However, no part of the video itself may be reproduced without the express written permission of an authorized representative of History Heard. Today is June 25th, 2009 at, what time is it, 1?
This is in Reston, Virginia.
This is an interview with Vint Cerf in Reston, Virginia. He was born on June 23rd, 1943 in New Haven. Einstein, I believe it was Einstein, yes, said that God doesn't play the dice with the universe. And we know that you have a hearing problem, and so do you think that that was kind of a subconscious motivation for making an internet where you can communicate without sound?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I don't quite know what the connection is between God playing dice
Well,
with the universe and being deaf. But
do you think it was a coincidence that that would happen?
Well, perhaps. Keep in mind that email was invented very early in my career anyway. I'm still a graduate student at UCLA. It's 1971. Ray Tomlinson comes up with this idea for making networked email work. It was already working on time-shared machines, but you could only send messages back and forth to each other if you both had accounts on the same time-shared machine. But if you did what Ray suggested and do file transfers between the machines with the appropriate indicators on them, with the mailbox ID on one side, the @ sign, which was the only character that hadn't already been taken up by other operating system purposes, and then the host name on the other side, then you could make a networked email system. Well, we all got very excited about that. I mean, by this time, it didn't take very long for everybody to recognize how useful it was and how email could overcome time zone problems. Because, phone calls, usually both of you have to be awake at the same time. And email is something that you can exchange at your leisure. So that helped me a lot because I had started wearing hearing aids when I was 13. So by the time 1971 rolled around, I was already 28 and had been wearing hearing aids for quite some time. It was a big help for me in dealing with these very technical topics to have email exchanges with people because you got written material. So precision was better. You didn't have to ask people to repeat, and it facilitated my ability to work. So I'm sure that I was strongly motivated to want more people to have access to that particular technology, and I saw that it was useful not only for people who happen to be hearing impaired, but it was useful for everybody because of this deferred communication character. So that was partly a motivation for me. It was part of the reason I wanted everybody to have access to the internet in 1988, was that I could see these benefits conferring on many people, including people with hearing impairments. And I worked on the MCIML project, also finding it very helpful to have email as the core of the project, so everybody used that technology. And the result is that I was able to function pretty much the way everybody else did. So it was a field leveling thing. So for me, it was an important aspect. I wouldn't say that it was the sole motivator, but it contributed. I couldn't get my wife to use email for ages, though. This is really ironic, right? Because she's totally deaf. And was anyway. And just didn't find, she's an artist, and so she didn't find any of this technology stuff at all friendly. And so we never used email until her friends forced her to use email because they couldn't get her on the phone. And so she's a very late adopter of electronic mail. Now, of course, she's online all the time. But that wasn't, it would be nice if it were true that I was motivated to do the internet work and the email work so I could communicate with my wife. In fact, I wanted to do it that way, but it never worked out that way until much later in the whole story of the net. But it did help an awful lot of other people who did see the utility in email overcome some of their disabilities.